What up? We got another fight card to break down. This time it's going to be a fight night instead of a pay-per-view. We'll just go ahead and get it all straight on into it. We've got Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley this weekend. It's Saturday, June 14th, 9 o'clock Central Time, so adjust accordingly so you don't miss none of these. In the State Farm Arena, it looks like it's going to be down in Atlanta, Georgia. We're going to take a look at quite a few fights in the card. We're not going to break down every single one of them. We never do. It's too fucking much research, too long, and to be frank, I don't care about half the fights half the time anyway, because they suck. But we will take a look at the ones that are interesting and the ones that I at least think are worthwhile. I think there's like 12, 13 fights like usual. We got a set of the main card and then a set of the prelim fights. Prelims starting at 6 Central Time. So we got about 3 hours of the old prelims here. Pretty decent though. Starting them off, we got Jamie Lynn Horst versus Vanessa Demopoulos. I don't give a shit. Can't stand Vanessa Demopoulos. Don't know shit about Jamie Lynn Horst. Moving on. We've got Phil Rowe versus Angalusa. Fun scrap here. I don't know a ton about Angalusa. I think I've seen maybe like 2 or 3 of his fights. We've seen quite a few of Phil Rowe's. Pretty good grappler. Got decent striking, decent hands there. Boxing, not exactly like killer knockout power or anything like that. Angalusa, I don't know if we could pull up his record here. I think he has more knockouts. Yeah, 5 knockouts, 1 submission, 4 decisions. Coming off the decision loss to old Gabriel Bonfim. I don't know, man. Again, I don't really give a shit, so we'll just go ahead and cruise right on past that one. Fun fight. I lean towards Phil Rowe just because I know more about him, so do with that what you will. Now, the first fight that we were going to break down, and that I actually spent a surprising amount of time breaking down, only to then realize it wasn't happening, was Ricky Simon versus Charles Jourdain. That was originally scheduled. I'm assuming Jourdain got injured because obviously he's not on the card anymore. He's been replaced with Mr. Cameron Smotherman. Don't know dick about Mr. Cameron Smotherman. Ricky Simon we've been watching for quite a while. Good, well-rounded fighter. He's got good wrestling, pretty decent striking, decent power. He's got a nice guillotine. The babyface killer. 6 knockouts, 1 sub, 5 decisions, 2 KO losses, 3 decisions. Alright, so nothing to write home about. The win over Jake Hadley's pretty nice. Surveys today. Man, I've leaned towards Ricky Simon here. What's the odds? Don't even see him on here. Alright, well, I guess we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll add him back on, or maybe that fight has been scrapped altogether. We'll just cruise right on past it. The first... Wait, what? Cody Durden. No, okay. Damn, there's a lot of Codys on this card. That threw me off there for a minute, because I was like, wait a minute, I broke down a Cody fight, but it was... Well, actually, I broke down 2 Cody fights. But neither of them were Cody Durden. I did Cody Brundage and Cody Garbrandt. So we've got the third of the Codys fighting on fucking Saturday night, going against Jose Ochoa. I don't know diddly squat about Mr. Ochoa. We've seen Cody Durden several times. 17-7-1, so he's got quite a experience advantage over Mr. Jose Ochoa. Whoops, I just hit refresh on that. Go. 34 years young, 6 knockouts, 6 submissions, 5 decisions. He's been KO'd once, 4 submission losses, 2 decision losses. Pretty well-rounded feller. Coming off a decision loss to Joshua Van. That's actually not bad considering what Van just did to Bruno Silva over the weekend. And by that I mean beating the fuck out of him and finishing him. So if you're staying in there like that, you know, it's not too bad. Kaiser, I don't know what the hell that means. From Peru, 6 knockouts, 1 submission, 0 decisions, and he's lost 1 decision. To Loner Kavanaugh, well, that's no fucking punk either. That's not bad. The fact that again that he stayed in there with him, can't be mad at that. Cody Durden plus 154, Mr. Ochoa, nearly a 2-1 favorite. I lean towards Ochoa just given his record and shit, but again, I don't really know much about the guy, so we're gonna cruise right on past it. Then we going into the bantamweight bout. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Chris Moutinho. Now, we've seen Chris Moutinho, famous for basically getting the shit beat out of him. Fought Sean O'Malley and somebody else. God, look at it. It's crazy to think that he puts on a 5-fight win streak outside of the UFC, all finishes. And then in the UFC, he just gets absolutely obliterated twice in a row. Guido Canetti and Sean O'Malley both finished him. Guido Canetti in the first fucking round, which is wild. Guido's no young buck either. I think he's the older guy, isn't he? Like 40. 45. Oh my god. So like I said, he's clearly put on some finishes in this CES and in Combat Zone, and then in Cage Titans, most recently in November. He's 32 years old. He's got 6 knockouts, 3 subs, 5 decisions. He's been KO'd 4 times and subbed twice. He's kind of one of these guys. He's like a do or die dude, just gonna press forward, zombie style, and either finish you or get finished in turn, or attempt to finish you, because I guess he has quite a few decisions. Didn't quite have the power or the submissions to do it all the time. Going against a guy, Malcolm Wellmaker here, with 5 knockouts, 2 submissions, 2 decisions, no losses, 31. Ooh, KO win over Cameron Simon. Well, I gotta go. Mr. Wellmaker's probably gonna finish Chris Matinho, most likely in like the first fucking round. Wellmaker round 1. That's what we're gonna take. We're gonna take Malcolm Wellmaker round 1. Chris Matinho is just not good, man. He blocks shots with his fucking face. Just doesn't really have power. Oh, god dang it. I'm going to jack this all up now. Doesn't really have much power to speak of. Hang on. My Streamlabs over on the wrong side now. There we go. Not exactly got a whole lot of defense either. God, I don't know, man. I don't even know a ton about Malcolm Wellmaker, and I'm placing that bet pretty confidently. Dude's an insane favorite. I guess you could always take Matinho for the upset and put like a 1/10 of a unit on him or something, but I wouldn't be putting much on him, that's for sure. Next, Michael Chiesa versus Court McGee. Court McGee at a 3-1 dog isn't terrible. I could see Chiesa getting the sub on him, but this is one that I just don't. This has no implications, no real meaning behind the fight. It's 2 dudes well past their prime. I don't know, man. Who cares? 27, 23, and 13. It's a decent scrap. I've never been a big Chiesa fan. If anything, I'd be rooting for Court McGee here. But I do think Chiesa probably wins this one. Court McGee has never blown my hair back. He's kind of one of these meat and potatoes type of fighters. Real grind heavy. Wants to press you up against cage, gets a takedown and grind on you. Chiesa has a little bit better submission ability, I would say. He throws up some fancy shit once in a blue moon. Pretty comparable in the striking. I would say maybe even the power advantage goes to Court. It's hard to say. Neither of these guys are real fucking dynamos in the striking department. So, I don't know, man. Let's go with Chiesa. Moving on. Paul Craig versus Rodolfo Bellato. I liked that Craig's gone back up. He looked borderline sickly at middleweight. The dude's just too damn big to be cut into middleweight. Going against a guy there, Rodolfo Bellato has relatively heavy hands, and I think he's a jiu-jitsu black belt, so I don't know that the old Berju is going to go out there and get any submissions or anything. 4 knockouts, 13 submissions, no decisions. And he's got 5 knockout losses, 2 submission losses, 2 decision losses. Most recently, decision loss to Mr. Bo Nickel, and then a KO before that to Caio Barao, who's no slouch, and then a submission loss to Brendan Allen prior to that. Look at this psycho. Rodolfo Bellato, Trato. Quite a bit younger. 7 knockouts, 4 submissions, 1 decision, 2 KO losses. Majority draw to Jeremy Crute. I would say old Rodolfo Bellato probably inside the distance is going to get this done. You could always do like a Paul Craig submission or something like that. Maybe throw that out there, but I kind of think old Craig's about done, unfortunately. Bellato's kind of on the come up, so we'll go with Bellato. Moving on. And the first fight of the main card, one that we broke down and actually get to use our notes because the fight didn't get canceled or changed. We have Atomic Alonzo Menafield versus Mr. Umar Sy, France's own Umar Sy. Alonzo Menafield, he's 37, I believe, here. 16-5s, coming off a split decision win over Mr. Julius Walker from Kansas City, if I'm not mistaken. Julius Walker, split decision, 37 years young. He's got 10 knockout wins, 3 submissions, 3 decisions. He's been KO'd 3 times, and he's lost 2 decisions. Tons of power, pretty inconsistent, unfortunately, in his performances. He seems to a bit of a head case. I know he was having some battles with mental shit and whatnot, and that stuff weighs heavy on you, and in a crazy sport like MMA, you don't want to be going in there with things like that going on. So I guess it just largely depends on where his head is at. He's got kind of a long stance, orthodox, likes to take the step in and kind of duck and shell up with the high guard and step in and take the big shot. Does duck into knees once in a blue moon. He did it in one of his last fights. And his chin doesn't seem to be the greatest these days. Pretty good takedown defense. It's not like world fucking breaking or anything like that, but it's pretty decent. If I remember right, Julius Walker was trying to get him down and was struggling and then gave up on it after relatively short order. So going against the guy here, though, and Mr. Umar Sy. 29 years young, so age advantage certainly goes to Umar by a pretty fair bit. He's also fucking massive. He's 11-0. He's undefeated. 6'4", 4 knockouts, 4 subs, 3 decisions. Most recently coming off a decision win over Dawon Jung, and then a submission by face crank over George Tokos. I would say the grappling advantage certainly goes to Umar here, both in the wrestling and like the jiu-jitsu department. Pretty dominant on the ground. He's a big, heavy bastard, pretty wet blankety. Built like a brick shithouse, clearly very strong. Pretty good striking, though, as well. Not terrible in that department. This raw explosivity, you can never count Alonzo Menifield out. He's one of those dudes. Just when you think he's about done, like, what's his name? Melvin Manhoof, who just uncorks one on you and then you're fucking dead. So long as Umar avoids that, stays relatively defensively sound out there, doesn't risk it too much, works his ground game, shoots for the takedowns, gets the double legs, things like that. I think he can grind out a win or potentially even submit Alonzo, be the first guy to submit him. That'd be fucking sick. Get a good head and arm choke. We'll see it. We'll see it happen. Next up, Mansour Abdul Malik versus the first Cody that we broke down and the second Cody of the night, Cody Brundage. We've got Mansour Abdul Malik 8-0. He's 27 years old, so pretty young fella. Pretty stout, built like a brick shithouse as well. Let's pull him up here. Orthodox, got a decent jab. That's one of the things that really stood out to me. He was pumping it quite a bit. Solid power. Gets kind of the low open hands with the longer stance. I think like a good low kick, unfortunately, would probably chew him up pretty well. But he does have fairly good head movement. Likes to kind of hit the draw counter, slip back, crack somebody. Decent hip sprawl as well. I did notice that in his fight. Guy shot on him, and he was able to get the hips back. And then it was Wesley Schultz. Then kind of dumped him, and they scrambled, and he still managed to get up on top of him. So pretty good scrambles. Now, you'd like to see a little bit of work there. He's got some work to do against especially like the higher level guys in this division. He's going to get his ass beat, but lower level guys, he's got the scrambles and the physicality to get it done. Curious about the gas tank. He did slow down a little bit in his last fight there. Middleweight's not like crazy good gas tanks all around. I'm trying to think of there's a couple guys in there. Fluffy's going to probably kill him in that department. A lot of these dudes do gas out or they fight at such a slow pace, they avoid it. So it might be okay there. Notice he plants a little bit at times. He will be kind of springy and then he'll plant, which, is where his power comes from. But in turn, it also makes him a stationary target. Rips to the body, to the heads, or those low kicks like I mentioned could be a problem for him. But going against a guy in Cody Brundage that I don't know that he's really going to have to worry about like all that much. Cody Brundage not going out there and throwing a ton of really, really hard low kicks. Does him a little bit to set up some of his other shit, but it's not like, Jose Aldo is chopping your fucking leg off or anything. But Mr. Brundage coming off a TKO win over Julian Marquez, where we picked him in there when I was sweating that bet. No contest prior to that due to some some nasty elbows to the dome piece. Good wrestling. Did manage to toss Bo Nickel after getting ragdolled a little bit by him. He kind of managed to offer up some of his own offense there. Okay striking. He's got fair power. I guess I can go over his record here. 6 knockouts, 3 submissions, 1 decision, 1 other. He's been KO'd twice, subbed twice, and 2 decisions. He's got pretty short striking. He's not throwing like these long hooks where he's reaching way out there, these big long straights and shit like that. Like he's pretty tight and compact in just about everything he does. I would say Mansour's probably gonna smash this dude. Cody Brundage just doesn't seem like he can take all that much of punishment. Like, good being hammered, not so much the nail. You start putting it on him and he kind of shells up and just gets fucking obliterated. So I would say Mansa maybe inside the distance, minus 450. Maybe KO, minus 300. That one's you're probably going to have to stuff it with another one, do it as a parlay piece. There's just not much value there. The dude's such a heavy favorite. It's kind of hard to play it when it's like that. Moving on. The third and final of the Codys this Saturday evening. We've got Cody Garbrandt, former champ, versus Raoni Barcelos. Cody Garbrandt, man, 14-6. Just what a mess, dude. What a mess Cody Garbrandt is. Super uber talented fighter, has like all the physical gifts in the world, but zero fight IQ. And I say all the physical gifts, he actually doesn't have the chin. That's maybe the one physical gift that he could use a little help in. No love. Great boxing though, crazy power, super fast, pretty good wrestling. He's real springy, like a cat, on his feet, real light. And where he struggles and where he was exposed quite a bit in his last fight against Davison Figueiredo, it would be in the jiu-jitsu ground control department. Pretty much when he was once he got on his back, and Davison was able to establish some kind of control over him, it was more or less a wrap. It didn't seem like he really knew anything to do on the ground to get out of there aside from try and explode. And at the highest level, you're not just going to be able to explode out of shit, especially when the guy's, I don't want to say a whiz on the ground, but pretty damn good on the ground like Davison Figueiredo. Raoni Barcelos, I don't necessarily know is the threat on the ground that Davison is. 38 years old. He's got 8 knockout wins, 3 submission wins, 8 decisions. Been KO'd once, subbed once, 3 decisions. Coming off his decision win over Peyton Talbot. That one's pretty good. Bit of a hype train derailment there. Peyton Talbot kind of looked like a fish out of water. Didn't really know what the fuck to do in that fight. I don't know that he's going to do that same thing to Cody Garbrandt here. Cody's got quite a bit more experience. Probably more physical gifts even than Peyton. That one's hard to say. Peyton's kind of a freak also, but orthodox, got a long stance. Raoni Barcelos pretty light and springy on his feet. Not the greatest wrestling, but I noticed he was able to chain it together fairly well. He would shoot one and then kind of chain it into another attack and manage to finish the takedowns after failing the first couple. Real good at mixing it up as well. I guess the mixed martial art aspect of it, faking the takedowns, then throwing some striking upstairs, or conversely, throwing like he's going to, twitch the hips like he's going to throw a kick up high and then shooting on somebody. Just mixing it up, throwing shit that you wouldn't expect, and kind of overloading the computer, as they say, and keeping your bitch ass guessing. Flez a little bit on the striking after a while, though. I did notice that he was starting to push some of his punches. Defensively, fairly sound. He was shelling up, kind of rolling with it. Pretty blatant cheating against old Quinones a couple different times. Man, I think Cody's probably got more physical gifts than Raoni Barcelos. He's probably faster. Probably has the power advantage. Pretty scrambly. Raoni is good at mixing it up, though, and Cody has kind of struggled with that at times. I would say maybe just take the under 2.5. Just play the under. What do we got on that? Under 2.5 plus 105. Just do that. You can maybe take Cody inside the distance, or hedge it with what's his nuts Raoni decision. Cody KO Barcelos decision. Could do that. KO decision there. I don't necessarily know that he's going to go out there and sub him again, especially after the last fight there. You would think Cody Garbrandt would be really working on that after the Davison Figueiredo debacle. But either way, moving on. We've got Edmund Shabazian versus Mr. Andre Petroski. This is a pretty fun scrap here. Edmund Shabazian has kind of had buzz around him, hype around him for quite a long time. He was the young kid training out of Ronda Rousey's camp with the old Edmund Tavardian, which is kind of funny. Very similar names there. I guess they're both Armenian or whatever, but good striker. Kind of has always struggled with the same thing and doesn't seem to be making a whole hell of a lot of improvement on it, which is the wrestling and grappling. Got maybe a hair better at stuff in the takedowns, but I really honestly can't say that he's showing tons of improvement. And at this point, it just seems like the playbook's kind of out on him. If you can get this guy to the ground and you've got good grappling, you're going to fucking destroy him. And Andre Petroski certainly does have that. He's also very explosive. I noticed old Gerald Mearshart was able to get in on the hips on Edmund Shabazian. In that case, that makes me think Petroski's certainly going to be able to. And I think he's a fair bit more explosive than GM3, so he's probably going to be able to finish the takedown and potentially get the submission. Shabazian has great striking. He's very fast. Petroski has been exposed on the feet before. He's been knocked out. If he tries to stand with Shabazian, he's going to hand him the fight. I think it's a pretty clear-cut fight here. It's like striking clearly goes to Shabazian, grappling clearly goes to Petroski. Who's going to be able to implement and dictate where the fight takes place? I would say Petroski probably more so than Shabazian. Excuse me. So I think it's worth the play here, especially for the odds. Let's see, Petroski, however you say it, by sub. Plus 600, then you could hedge it if you wanted to. Shabazian by KO, plus 150. If you want to play it safe, you could also just do Petroski inside the distance, plus 345. That would give you the additional coverage with like ground and pound win or something like that. I might sprinkle maybe a little bit on both, something like that, but so long as Petroski doesn't go out there and play it fucking stupid and try to stand with Shabazian, seems pretty clear cut, man. Like he should be able to ragdoll Shabazian, which, I'm saying that this is the logical thought, so that means Petroski will go out there and stand, and Shabazian will kick his fucking head off. But you could always hedge it if you think that's going to happen. Moving on. We got Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. Renegade Maverick's mom, as they were pointing out on the Anik Florian podcast earlier this week. Old Thug Rose. I don't even know if she deserves that fucking nickname anymore. 32 years old, 13-7, former champ. Decent striking, decent grappling. She's got a lot of straights, a lot of good 1-2s, good kicks, front kick, head kick, low kick, throwing them to the body sometimes. She even throws the side kicks to the body occasionally. Jiu-jitsu's pretty fucking good. She's gotten some flying submissions, big flying armbar before. Pretty active guard as well when she's on her back. Kind of the one department she's always struggled in is the wrestling. Made some improvements in that department. She will clinch up a little bit now, throw the knees, throw some elbows, shit like that, and does get the hips back a little bit better, but still seems to be a little bit weak in that department. And she's going against a girl in Miranda Maverick, who's pretty good in that department. Pretty good wrestling. Kind of mirror images of each other here, or yin and yangs, I guess, where Rose is better in the striking, Miranda's a little bit weaker in the striking, where Rose is a little bit weaker in the wrestling, Miranda's a little bit stronger in the wrestling. Both of them fairly decent when it comes to like submission game. I would say maybe if this was a straight jiu-jitsu match, maybe Rose would take this, but I don't know. Rose has, in my opinion, always kind of lacked a little bit in the horsepower department, and I think that's actually where the Maverick gets things done. She makes up a little bit of her technical flaws, so to speak, with being pretty physical. She's also a Springfield, Missouri gal, so I'm going to root for her. Missouri's own. A little bit younger as well, not by much, only 5 years. Rose is in her prime, tasted the belt before. You got to wonder where the drive is, where's her head at, which has always been a bit of an issue with old Thug Rose. If I had to pick one here, I'd probably pick the over and not pick either. Over 2.5, minus 550. Good lord. Does the fight go the distance? Yes. Decision, minus 435. Guess you could take that. That's not really any value there. Maybe parlay it with something else. I don't see either of these chicks getting a finish on the other one. Both of them play it relatively safe. Of Thug's 20 fights, fucking 11 have been decisions. And of Miranda's 20 fights, 12 have been decisions. So, quite a few between the two of them. Nothing like putting a nice break before the main fight. Something to slow down the pace of a night of probably exciting fights. Yeah, I don't know. Let's go with Miranda. Fuck it. Then last but not least, the main event of the evening, and one that I'm pretty excited for here. We got the return of the Nigerian Nightmare, the former champ, Mr. Kamaru Usman, versus St. Louis's own Joaquin Buckley, new Mansa. Baby. Kamaru Usman, man. Decorated champ, one of the welterweight goats. Fucking phenomenal wrestling, great takedown defense, great takedowns in his own right. Was really good at pressing people up against the cage. Kamaru was one of these guys who was always pretty good at dictating where he wanted the fight to take place, or if he wasn't at least dictating it, he was still stopping you from putting it in a position that you liked. Like, he was good at keeping it in a relatively neutral ground when he needed to. Striking was pretty rudimentary there at first, and then started actually getting fairly decent at the end. It was kind of the same shit over and over. It was a lot of 1-2, straight punches, shit like that, and then get in and throw some hooks. But, I mean, he was making it work for him and clearly had power. He knocked Jorge Masvidal's head clean off, which was pretty sick. Let's pull him up here. The Nigerian Nightmare, 38 years old. He's 9-1 in. Oh, excuse me. I should say 9-1-10 because that's gonna make it sound like his losses. His wins, he's got 9 knockouts, 1 submission, 10 decisions. And his losses, he's got 1 knockout loss, 1 submission loss, and 2 decisions. Most recently coming off the loss to Khamzat Chimaev, but that was back in October of 23. So it's been quite a while. Not quite 2 years, but it's creeping in there. On a 3-fight skid, though. Twice to Leon Edwards prior to that. Lost the belt and then immediate rematch to Leon Edwards again. First fight was relatively competitive. It looked like Kamaru was well on his way to winning. And then that's when Leon pulled off the head kick heard around the world. Then the second fight, Leon pretty clearly won the fight. I think it was a 3-2 decision or something like that, maybe even a 4-1. Rumors of all kinds of health issues. Supposedly his knees are just fucking destroyed. I heard something about his neck the other day. So I think this is kind of the back 9, maybe even like the back 2 for Kamaru Usman. Going against a young stud here in Joaquin Buckley. He's 31 years old, so just entering his prime. He's 21-6, 15 knockouts, 6 decisions, 4 knockout losses, 2 decision losses. Dude is built like a brick shithouse. He's 5'8", about as wide as a fucking house. Clearly extremely powerful. He's explosive. Striking, gets a little sloppy with it, but he's so fast and explosive, he kind of makes it work for him, and he's still setting it up. And just because what he's throwing is kind of unorthodox, it doesn't mean that it's not the right thing to throw. He still makes it work for him. He's still setting it up. Really good at mixing it up, throwing shots, backing you up in the cage, then shooting it on the hips, getting the takedown. Did this to Wonder Boy, rinse, repeat. Just put the pressure on Wonder Boy, back him up against the cage, get it on the hips, scoop him up, slam him down. I think he even eventually got like the KO or the TKO on that one. 6-fight fucking win streak, though, for Buckley. All the momentum in the world. If anybody's capable of derailing a train like that, it's Kamaru. He kind of did that a little bit with old Khamzat, but I got to go with my dude Buckley here. St. Louis's own. We're going to support the guy. I think momentum's in his favor. Age is in his favor. Power, speed, probably. It's going to be close in the speed department. Wrestling, Kamaru's maybe going to stuff 1 or 2 while he's fresh, but I think if Buckley gets in deep, he's going to have the horsepower advantage as well. Here's what you can say, and quote me on here. Kamaru Usman this fight is going to look like when Kamaru Usman fought Tyron Woodley. It is very much the same, changing of the guard all over again. Very much the same. So that is it. We're going to take Joaquin Buckley. But that's it for the card. It's going to be a good card here. UFC Fight Night, Saturday. We cruised right through those predictions, so we're going to, I guess, call her a wrap and then start doing some research for the following weekend of fights. What do we got after that? Is it a pay-per-view? No, we got Hill versus Roundtree the following weekend, and then UFC 317 at the end of June. So throw me a follow, people. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good kind of shit. It helps out. Hit me up on Twitter. I'll put my picks out on there on X. We usually put those out on Friday after the weigh-ins. Appreciate the support, and we will see you guys later. Peace out.